Hi, my name is Connie Canaday Howard, and I'm the Managing Artistic Director of Buffalo Theater Ensemble, which we affectionately refer to as BTE. And I'm here this morning doing a table chat with three of my favorite people. And they are on BTE's board of directors. And one of the things that BTE is doing this year that we're on hiatus because of COVID-19 is doing some virtual recorded moments, some with ensemble members who are giving backstage views of things that happen in the theater, and then also table chats monthly with members of the ensemble or BTE's board of directors. And so I have the privilege of being with these three this morning. And the purpose is to stay a little connected and to help people know about how BTE functions and who the people of BTE are. We think of BTE as a big family, and the community is our extended family. And these are some of the people in our immediate family. I will introduce these three, and then they're going to give a little bit about their background, and then we'll just talk for a few minutes. But with me this morning are Sandra, Sansone, Brennan, and Kathy Wessel, and Richard Jarman. And BTE as a 501c3 would not be able to function without our board of directors who support us in many, many ways. And this is Thanksgiving week. And I want to say that one of the things I'm very thankful for is our board of directors. So Kathy, can you start us off by giving us a little background?
Sure. I'm a retired teacher from Wheaton-Warrenville, District 200. I taught drama and theater for many, many years, directed tons of plays. And that's actually how I met Connie. I think I brought some students over to see one of her student productions and learn more about BTE, and started going to plays there frequently. I can't even remember when that all began, Connie, but it was a while ago.
A long time ago, yeah.
When BTE went on hiatus the first time, I was very pleased to help with fundraising and talk about the theater to people in the community. And then when we came back 4 years ago, I was asked to serve on the board of directors, which has been just an absolute delight and joy to get to know Connie and Amelia even better, and all the people on the board and the ensemble members. It's just been a very, very wonderful experience, and to feel like we're making a contribution to the community, which is very important to me and to all of us. So I'm glad to be here.
Kathy was also BTE board's first vice president, and she has extended. She's doing a second term with us now too. But we were very, very fortunate because we really started, even though we've been in existence for many, many years, we really started over because we were starting as a 501c3. Sandra?
Hello. I really enjoy live theater, and I started attending BTE a few years ago, and a friend of mine invited me to her theater group. And in her theater group was Peggy Connolly, who was our first president as we have returned. And after a few months of being with this group, Peggy asked me to help out with the theater in terms of their annual campaign. And that's how I met Kathy Wessel. And a few months later, Peggy asked me to be on the board. I was absolutely delighted. It's given me an opportunity to meet all the others on the board, including the ensemble members. And having the ensemble members with us just gives a very great dimension to all the aspects of the productions that we see. So it's been a very nice experience for me. I really enjoy it, and I think it's important to encourage live theater, and this is live community theater. It's been a real pleasant experience.
Yeah, and I'm just going to say we're definitely a strong part of the community. We were Glen Ellen's nonprofit of the year last year, we're an equity theater that's in residence at the College of DuPage. So we're a professional theater in residence at the College of DuPage. Richard Jarman.
Hello. Yes, so I've been on the board now. This is my second year, and it's been a great honor to have been invited to serve. And I teach chemistry at CAD. I've done that since 2003 full time. Actually, my association with BTE predates that because as back in the 90s, actually, I started taking some acting classes at the college. And that's when I first met Connie, actually, well, almost 25 years ago. So, and as part of the class, we were obligated to go and watch shows. So that's how I got to meet BT. In fact, I didn't even realize they did that sort of thing in Glen Ellen. It's like it had been a well-kept secret. Go and see theatre in your own backyard, literally. So, and I recall vividly the first show I went to see was Noises Off, and watching Amelia Barrett doing some long gag with a plate of sardines. So, so that's how it all started.
Excellent. Thank you for joining me this morning. And so now I'm wondering if you would share, Richard just did share Noises Off, but if you would share something about the company, your association with the company that you remember with fondness or was your favorite thing. It could be a performance, but it also could be something else. What do you think?
I've been thinking about this because I knew you were going to ask that question. And it's really hard for me because since we came back, it was like each show I saw, I think, this is it. Wow, it can't get any better than this. And then I see the next show and it was better. But I think if I had to pick a favorite or the one that made the biggest impression on me was Defiance. It was such an incredible, moving show that it's always with me, and I think especially in today's times in the culture that we live in, I think it's particularly significant. It was just amazing. But since then, the cake, 39 steps. I mean, I could go on and on. They're just each one gets better and better, and it's wonderful watching.
Excellent.
One of the plays that I enjoyed very much, and I think this was shortly after BTE came back, was Good People. And it just struck me. I thought it was just, it was very much drama. And I was just very taken by it. Then on the other hand, we have The Dinner Party. You know, we have drama, we have comedy, and I really like that aspect of BTE, that they will present. You always know in the fall, you've got something comedic. And then in the spring, in the winter and spring, there's something a little bit, there's very much a thematic change. And again, I also liked Defiance and the cake. And I really like having introduced some of my friends to BTE and giving them a variety then to experience. And the cake also was one of my favorites too. So it's just been good experiences all around.
Excellent. So Defiance
Yeah,
was by John Patrick Shanley, and the cake was by David Lindsay Abera, if I remember correctly. Good People definitely was. Oh no, the cake, her name's escaping me right now. Rebecca, she wrote for This Is Us. Excellent playwright. So it's interesting that mix up of things that you mentioned. Richard, I cut you off. What was yours?
that's okay. So I was reflecting on this earlier because I thought it might come up, and I was going into the way back, and I think one of the more touching shows was Under Milk Wood, actually, which again, I think I was in my first year, and it was in the black box. I think it's about the only show they've seen of BTE in that space. And I think that was particularly, maybe I was more impressionable back then. And
It's a
it
beautiful
kind of lived with
script,
me a
right?
long time. It's a very poetic
Yeah.
play, of course. And because you had a little role in that,
Yeah.
I recall.
Yeah. Dylan Thomas.
So
In
you're
fact,
showing off your vocal talents.
yeah. I'm directing Under Milkwood shortly for the student season.
Oh,
Because
all right.
we can do that virtually. So that will go up in late February with the students, but I haven't looked at that script since that time. And honestly, I don't have very clear memory of it, except that it was winter. It was freezing in the dressing room, I remember.
Oh,
But
yeah,
it was
right.
a wonderful ensemble piece. I guess I actually should be tossing things in here for myself too. That, and I, like you said, I have a hard time coming up with a favorite because each project has so much that I appreciate about it. I think Noises Off was certainly one that I loved. Someone
Yeah.
who watched over me from years and years and years ago about political prisoners being
Oh,
held.
right. I remember
Yeah.
I
that.
loved,
Yeah.
I
I
loved.
remember that too. It was, yes, I'd forgotten about it. I'm glad you
Mhm.
mentioned it.
Mhm. And years and years ago, we did a production of Into the Woods, which I thought rocked that space in the playhouse. But Richard mentioned us being in the black box, and we've done that a few times, but very few times. And we've also been on the Belushi, what we now call the Belushi. We used to call it the main stage. But because we are equity, each of those spaces is negotiated differently. So it becomes not a problem, but it is a challenge. So it is better for us if we can stage things in the playhouse in terms of all of our contracts with everybody. And it's an intimate space, but I love all three spaces in the MAC. I think they're used very well. For us, the Playhouse is the probably the best space for us.
Yeah, well, it's a good size for,
Yeah.
I think, our theatre. Another
Yes,
play I liked, and I remember it vividly, so I can't remember the name of it, but see, I remember it so well. It was about the Black Death.
Oh yeah, the living. I keep thinking
Yeah.
about the living during this time. Because there
Yeah.
are metaphors, but I thought it was brilliant. I had just had my oldest daughter at that time.
That's right, yeah.
And so I came in as a second eye on it. And Shanahan directed it. Brian Burke was in it.
Right, yeah.
And I thought it was a brilliant piece. So I think, of course, I'm going to be prejudiced in some ways. But I think one of the things that BTE strives to do, we actually take from our title, and that's about ensemble. That some of the pieces that we do that are the strongest for us are pieces that involve, whatever the size of ensemble, they involve interweaving of that ensemble in ways that are interesting. And the living brought people through the audience. So the audience became London, and about really how people support one another, even in extreme times of crisis, that's really the one of the only ways to come through on the other side, which seems very apropos for this time.
Well, Noises Off did a lot with bringing people through the audience. I remember that.
Right.
In the rehearsal time. Like, wow, they do that sort of thing.
And I think,
I mean, you wouldn't, it'd be unlikely to see that at the National Theatre, I think.
Right.
I think one of the other things that makes BTE so special is the ensemble. And one of the great joys of being on the board is getting to know and really become friends with a number of people in the ensemble. And then you see them in a show playing a character that is totally different than their actual personality. And it makes you realize what an extremely talented group of actors and that are performing for us, that are here in our community, so close and so easy to get to. And I think that's a very special thing.
Thank you. Thank you. So you guys, what are you most excited about when we come back, or for our future? Maybe even not when we first come back, but for our future.
I have to quote one of my favorite musicals, Hamilton, and say, I can't wait to be in the room where it happens.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's
Live
great.
theater is such an important part of my life. And yes, I've watched lots of videos in the last few months and some really good things, but it's just not the same. I
Right.
want to be in that room where it happens.
Right, right. Agreed.
I'm very much looking forward to seeing live performances. It's so magical when you are in the audience and in our case, we see people on stage that we know, and it's just magical how they transform us into another setting, into another scene. And and that's all part of the entertainment. And with each play, not so much with the comedies, but with the other plays, you really think and you really question some things. But I do miss being in that room, in that space.
Excellent.
As soon as the lights go down, everything changes.
Yeah, I certainly can't disagree that is something you really missed a lot. Being there's a sort of nervous energy when the show starts that you don't have when you're seeing a pre-recorded thing. So
Right. Right.
there's even as an audience member, there is tension there.
Yeah.
And I also think that what I'm looking forward to is hopefully, that I think BT's made progress in penetrating the Chicago hegemony on live shows. That it all happens in the Chi, but the suburbs don't exist. And I think there was progress there in knocking down that wall, that Chicago actually realized that the suburbs exist. So I think there were nominations, right, and awards.
Yeah.
So I look forward to that progressing more.
Yeah, I definitely look forward to the live aspect, to doing what we do, which is producing theater. But I also look forward to growing maybe number of shows, but really growing our audience. We have been working really hard to work toward broader base in many ways. And in looking at scripts right now, we're in the midst of looking at scripts for next year, which will be our 35th anniversary season, which I'm super excited about. Oh, my dogs are going to bark. I'm so sorry. But we're looking at lots of really interesting scripts that go the gambit in genres, from hysterical scripts to scripts that are definitely more thought-provoking, to scripts that explore questions that we haven't had on our stages before. And then scripts that explore in different ways some of the things we have explored on our stages. So I'm super excited about that. I'm also, which is funny because, it's always a very full week when we are doing shows, whether it's opening week or the 5th week of our run. They're very full weeks, but I'm really excited to have talkbacks with our audience and connect with the people who support BTE and hear their thoughts on a production and have their dialogue. Sandra mentioned that theater and BTE makes you think sometimes. I think that's one of the things, I think that's my longevity in this, is because it constantly helps me evaluate my own life, but also society. And really, it doesn't allow me to stick my head in the sand. And I appreciate that. Even when it's uncomfortable, I appreciate that. I mean, I hope I'm doing that until, you know, I have one foot in the grave, because it keeps me alive, you know. So I can't wait to be back.
I
We
bet.
can't wait
We all,
either.
we all, we all share that.
So thank you so much for joining me. Have a wonderful, wonderful Thanksgiving, even though people won't see this until December. So at that point, have a wonderful holiday season, however you choose to celebrate that
Well,
winter
thank
season.
you. You too.
Thank you.
And,
Thank you, Connie. You too.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.